and they say, Nagle, we got to get her out of here. We just need to get her off the scene, kind of figure out what's going on. So she's being detained. So I said, okay, all right. I opened the back seat to my car, and she is not going in the back of the car. So, kicking, screaming, doing the dead weight thing where we got to drag her, trying to talk to her, trying to get her name, but everything was constantly, I'm not cooperating with you. I'm not going to listen to you. Screw you.
I do not know you, but I am your brother.
You do not know me, but I am your protector.
I will run into a burning building to save your life.
Though I do not know your name, I will take a bullet for you.
Though we've never met,
I believe in duty and sacrifice
of self.
Your family is my family.
Is my family. Your life is my duty.
What's going on, guys? Time for another episode of Behind the Uniforms. Super excited for this episode. I've got a friend who's a cop and a gym owner, so we're going to get to that in a second, all the shameless plugs, all that good stuff. But the way that the show works, for those of you who are watching for the first time, is we invite any officer, active, retired, first responder, veteran to come on the show, bring a bottle of whiskey so that we have a cocktail together, and we share the whiskey on the whiskey wall for future guests, and then they share two stories, a positive story and a difficult story, and we really showcase that these men and women who are serving our community and our country just want to go home to their families every single day, just like us. So with that being said, who are you? What'd you bring? You talk, I pour, we sip, you tell stories.
Perfect. Well, my name is Sara. I'm a police officer in a town in Connecticut, and I've been there I'm on my 5th year now.
Excellent.
Which sounds like nothing, but it feels like a very long time.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But I absolutely love it. And like Cal said, I own a gym. So that's a new thing, and balancing the two has definitely been a challenge, but one I wouldn't have any other way.
Excellent. So what'd you bring?
So I don't know much about alcohol.
Oh, bullet.
Definitely not a lot about whiskey.
You chose well.
But I have my beat that I patrol every day in my town, and where else to go but the locals for what I should get. So I go into my store, not on duty, and I tell them, man, I need some whiskey. I don't know what I need. I don't know what's good, what's not good, but hook me up with something. He said this was a nice, popular, classic. Can't really go wrong with it. Solid. And I was like, done.
Bullet bourbon.
And it's Bullet.
Oh, that's perfect. This episode is not sponsored by Bullet, but if you guys would like to sponsor future episodes, obviously hit us up. I'm just waiting for an officer to bring in a bottle that was like confiscated by a 15-year-old one of these days. But anyway, cheers to you. Story time, and then we'll get to some shameless plugs for you.
All right, cool.
You want to go high or low first?
We'll go low first.
Okay.
Yeah. So in my 5 years, a lot happens in 5 years, especially as an officer working every day, day in and day out. And I spent the majority of my career so far on nights, so that 4 to midnight shift. And I remember one night, I finished my evening shift and had gotten forced to work the overnight shift, which is like worst case scenario. So right at the beginning of that second shift, so probably like 1 a.m., we get a call at one of our local 24-hour establishments. There was some sort of fight. Male, female, possible knife, possible domestic. There might be a car involved. So your classic, like, we don't know what the heck's going on. Everyone's going. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the farthest districts. So I get there as one of the last cars responding, and there's already well over a dozen of my officers and another agency's officers, and we're just trying to sort it out. And all I remember is pulling up, and I had barely made it into the parking lot before a bunch of officers come walking over to me with a female who's in handcuffs. And they say, Nagle, we got to get her out of here. We just need to get her off the scene, kind of figure out what's going on. So she's being detained. So I said, okay, all right. I opened the back seat to my car, and she is not going in the back of the car. So, kicking, screaming, doing the dead weight thing where we got to drag her, trying to talk to her, trying to get her name, but everything was constantly, I'm not cooperating with you. I'm not going to listen to you. Screw you, bleep expletive, everything was just, it was so crazy to hear someone say that. Especially me, I had, at the time, maybe 2 years on, and I was just incredibly overwhelmed. But again, we needed to get her in the car. Finally, we get her in the car, after the spitting and the kicking and all that. I turn around not for 2 seconds to try to figure out, hey, what the heck is going on here? And all of a sudden I look over and my car is violently shaking. I'm like, what? And then we have a sedan, but it's all-wheel drive, heavy-duty police sedan, and it's shaking. And she is banging her head against the front, the sides, the back of the cruiser, and just so violently, like I said, she was shaking the car.
Jeez.
So immediately we're like, holy smokes, we gotta stop her from doing this. She's really gonna hurt herself. So, but at the same time, it's having her in a confined space like that is a lot nicer than maybe running or, trying to chase her down. So eventually we get her to calm down enough to have the medics come take a look. And so now we're working on medical help for her. Then we get to transport. So now we're calm enough where we can start to transport. So I start to bring her in, and again, the shaking and the moving starts like crazy, and the kicking, all that. And in the midst of all of this, prior to putting her in my car, we had to switch handcuffs. So we took off the first pair of handcuffs. We're trying to put on a second. In all of this, she ends up getting out of one of her handcuffs.
Oh, jeez.
So whatever it was, she had to squeeze, probably too loose, who the heck knows. But so she ends up getting out of one of her handcuffs. And the whole ride there, it's probably like a 3-mile ride from where we were to the department, was swearing at me, threatening me, things of that nature. So she gets out and she tells me, have fun trying to get this cuff back on me. You'll never guess what I'm going to do to you.
Jeez.
Just these crazy things. And here I am, probably 22, 23 at the time. And I just keep telling myself, she's in the back seat, you're in the front seat. She's in the back seat, you're in the front seat. So I call for backup, we pull over, end up handcuffing relatively easily. The suicidal and homicidal comments continue. Eventually, we go to the hospital. I have to go to the hospital with her. So then this whole ordeal continues
God.
to the hospital. So this was like the longest night ever. It was the worst night ever. Aside from, the physical, I don't want to say beating, but aside from the physical aspect of it, I learned a lot about myself as a person, as an officer, and it hurt as a person to hear someone be that, I guess, mean, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But it also, as an officer, opened my eyes to, holy smokes, people are like this, or things can make them like this. Like it seemed like such an extreme, and, I haven't had anyone quite like that since, but that case just really...
See, I have the utmost respect for cops. This is why I couldn't be a cop. I would tase everybody. Everybody. I would have 5 or 6 tasers, and I probably do it for sport. So obviously there's certain benchmarks and qualifications of what it takes to become a cop, but the patience is incredible.
Yeah, and it was definitely patience, and just huge learning experience. Everything from tactical things like handcuffs or how we walk over, or to, like I said, personal things, and it kind of toughens you up a little bit. And that's something that, looking back now where I am, it's been 3 years since then, but just how much growth and change this job does to you, good and bad.
Sure.
Because that case has helped me and kind of toughened me up that way, but it also, on other calls, it hurts you, because now I'm going to other calls and I've had the worst, I've seen the worst.
Right.
So it's hard to walk up to someone who's not the worst and not expect it.
So tell me about a good day.
So I have the best thing in the world. I get to work with my dad.
Nice.
So my dad is also an officer in the same town that I am, and I'm incredibly lucky. He's my best friend. He's always been that way. And many years apart, so we don't always work the same shift or the same district, so rarely do we interact like one-on-one. But when we do, it's always fun. So again, I'm working nights one night, and he's dispatching. So he's inside kind of telling everyone where to go and what to do, like at home, right? So we get a call from a frantic mother saying, my daughter is a teenager and she threatened to kill herself. Kind of gave the circumstances surrounding it and all that. So we know we have to find this girl. So we get, mom says she was last in our town, she might be in this area of town, but then we ping her phone and now she's traveling on this area of town, so we don't know where she is, we're trying to find her. Somehow my dad gets on the phone with her. So she's been ignoring calls or turned off her phone. My dad, in dispatch, gets a hold of the girl who said she was going to kill herself. Crying hysterically. She has no idea where she is or what she's doing. We're just trying to get officers to her location. Finally, she gives out a landmark, and my dad's like, oh, okay, yep, I know where that is. And I was the nearest. So I go flying down to where she is. I pull into the lot. I find the car. Now, I know she's alive because she's on the phone. But I don't know if she's injured. I don't know if she has any weapons. I don't know what's going on. So I walk up to the car and I see her in the front seat, head down in her hands, crying hysterically, and the phone is on the dash on speakerphone. And all I hear is, there's going to be a nice female officer coming. You have to let her help you. She's going to help you. And then I hear that and I go, Dad? And he's like, hey, Sarah. And so it was just such a cool moment where, like, not cool because, the girl was there, but she was not hurt. We were able to get her all the help she needed and get her to a hospital. And it was my dad on the phone with her, on the radio with me, and I'm the one responding, and he found her. And it was just this really cool kind of
That's awesome.
Accumulation of events that it'll always be.
Well, and I'm sure that helped to sort of ground her a little bit too and put her at ease because
Yeah.
she could see the human side of it.
Definitely. And, I got to tell her, that guy, that's my dad talking to you, like, we're here to help you. And, even him saying, like, you're going to be okay, help us here, this nice officer's here to help you. And
That's awesome.
It was really cool. And she was, ended up obviously being transported and evaluated. And, I hope she's doing great now. But
What's it like being a female cop these days?
And I get that question a lot. And I love being a female cop. And part of the kind of, I guess, underdogness of it,
Yeah.
I love. And it's part of the reason I do this job.
Sure.
As far as my coworkers, they've always been the absolute best with me. I think it's one of those things, if you prove yourself and you show yourself and you're confident and you're capable, the officers aren't the issue. They, I found, have been very respectful and, they're my best of friends. People can be interesting, but sometimes I have trouble distinguishing if it's the female in me or if it's the youth in me. Because a lot of times people will see me and be like, are you even old enough to be an officer? Or what are you, 18? And I joke, I hope they tell me that in 10 years. Or, I just graduated. Exactly. So that's the kind of interesting dynamic that I'm faced with. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing on the street. It's how you carry yourself.
Sure.
So if you walk into a scene and you know that you're in charge and you're going to make decisions and you're the one at the end of the day who's got to go home safe, and you need to be strong and assertive and powerful, but also that genuine caregiver, empathetic character. And I find that for me, it's pretty easy to float back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's because I'm female. Perhaps it's other ways I was raised, but it's good.
So a lot of cops say that the best way that they have to deal with stress is to work out.
Yes, there it is.
You like a little segue there?
Right into it.
Context.
Yes.
Talk to us.
So I've been an athlete my whole life. I played college soccer. I needed that competition, that team, that all of those things that I couldn't reproduce after college finished. I tried running, hated it. So I was like, I need something to do. And then CrossFit comes up. It's competitive. It's athletic. You need to be strong. You need to be fast. You need to be smart. You need to be flexible. There's all these different aspects to it. And I was just immediately hooked. Fell in love with it. And it helps on the job because I have to carry 30 pounds of weight on me every single day.
Sure.
And actually, I'm also bicycle certified, so sometimes I'm riding a bike with those 30 pounds on me. So that level of physical fitness, but yeah, also the stress relief and the just being able to relax at the end of the day. If it's go to the gym or if it's get hyped up, go to the gym, and it's the best thing. I love it.
When I'm sure many of you who are watching this right now saw the jackass in Atlanta who said that cops weren't allowed, veterans weren't allowed, you were an invading force when you put on that uniform. As soon as that happened, I reached out to some friends who are police officers who own gyms, and these guys all were gracious enough to say any cop or any veteran can come in there who's not a current member and train for 30 days for free. She was one of the original 3, and so big props to you. So where can people go?
Come on over to CrossFit Thin Blue Line. We're located right in Manchester, and we've been around for about 8 years or so now, and great community, and that's really one of the best things about CrossFit that you don't get in your typical gym that you go to.
Sure.
It's that you've got a smaller class size, but everyone's pushing you, everyone's cheering you on, everyone wants you to finish and succeed and do well, and no matter what your skill level, you will finish the workout and you will do well and you will get better. So
she keeps telling me, come on down. And I'm like, I'll come tomorrow. And then bourbon happens and I don't. So with that being said, we're going to link up the gym in the comments on the bottom. But guys, we just ask that you take some time to share this video, to share all of these videos. I don't know, are those gunshots? What's going on out there?
yeah, it's all right.
No big deal.
Nothing.
We're covered. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing these stories to really show that these men and women just want to go home to their families, just like you and I, every single day. So thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And God bless America.